Welcome to NWI Educate. Today I'm your host, Robert Hebert. Today I'm interviewing Dee Dee. Dee Dee is a professional with a medical background. Is that correct, Dee Dee?
That's correct.
And today we're talking about different types of inequalities, as we have many times. But today we're talking about gender equality in the workplace. And I think that Dee Dee, we've known each other for a very long time, and we have a situation here where she has firsthand knowledge of discrimination in the workplace based on gender and or talent.
Absolutely.
In my personal opinion, knowing you, and I've seen this in several instances where you have to work 3 times harder to get a quarter of the pay and only a half the appreciation.
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit, based on your personal experiences in the workplace? What types of discrimination have you felt in the workplace?
I feel like I've experienced discrimination on a couple of different levels.
Sure.
Definitely on the gender equality part, where I'm a Southern girl. I live and work in the South, and it's predominantly male for us to live in such a fast forward, technology-driven world in 2018, that it's time for a change. It's time for people and pay and jobs to be merited on a person's value to that team, and not if they're wearing a skirt or a pair of pants.
Yeah, one thing I love about this woman is she's so politically correct. Did you notice how she was choosing her words carefully? I absolutely love that about you, which always shocks me to hear stories about how you're working, and I know how hard of a worker you are. You are, when you're in an office of 10 people and 7 of them are men, and in my personal opinion, knowing you're smarter than all of them because you work harder and you're a thinker.
Not say that out loud.
Of course not, because you're a thinker, and it is a boys' club. I've noticed that many times. I'm coming from down from the north as well, and I'm looking down here, and it is a boys' club. It's unlike up north where there's a lot of this gender inequality. I don't believe is as strong in Maine as it is down here. Obviously, the population is a lot less, but. There are certain instances within this workplace that I've seen that your growth is stagnated, not because they take your work, they give you the work, they tell you to do the work, and this happens with a lot of you ladies out there, and I'm sure that you can relate. They give you the work, they give you the projects because they know you're good, and you're fantastic, and you can handle it, but they give you no additional pay. They pat you on the back and then say thank you, and then take your work and ride it to the top. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and take full credit for your work.
Now you have firsthand experience with that kind of thing.
Absolutely, and they'll take all the accolades. They'll take them blatantly in front of you. That's your work, that you did it, and they'll smile and take the accolades or the bonus or the pay.
Well, you just got a pat on the back and say, hey, thank you, have a great day.
You did all the groundwork. Right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So, and I see this all the time, but most. With you, it really hit home, and I wanted to make sure we bring this out to people because this is something that a lot of women go through. And I say a lot of women, I say a tremendous amount of women go through. And that's not fair. When we're talking with this station, we always talk about equality and how can we pull together as one united team. To me, it's about good versus evil. We got to get rid of these labels of religion, of race, and everything else. We have to pull together because there are good people and bad people in everything.
That's right.
So how, in your opinion, based on your firsthand knowledge, what were some things that we could do or could have been done to improve the equality within the workplace for women?
Like I said,
in your opinion,
to me, it goes back to merit-based work. You value the person that puts in the work. You value that teammate that has the ideal of each one teach one. So if they're your most valuable player, the second attribute that they need to have to make it a winning team would be able to teach the teammates, the rest of them, what they do. And now you're running high performance and everybody gets an equal piece of the pie.
That's such a beautiful statement. I mean, I almost, and I hate to say this, I would almost like to see when in a workplace where they take the demographic sheet, name, age, gender, everything, just put it on the back, assign a number. so that when people are looking at the qualifications alone, they can base an unbiased decision based on your qualifications. And I hate to say it because it takes away, but there are so many people, you know, that you've heard in the interviews where they make a decision in 5 seconds when you walk in the door. I would love to see an environment where we can push a system in place that makes it fair for everybody. Just because your name's Akbar doesn't mean you're a terrorist, or just because your name is Dee Dee and you're a woman. What are you even thinking of? What does that mean? What kind of conclusions are you drawing? We all were taught that assumption means making an ass of you and me. But yeah, assumptions and perception seems to be the ruler in today's society. What do you think?
Right. I agree. It is. And if we could take away those labels, and like I said, to me, it's back to merit. It's back to what you do, the quality of your work, whatever it is your role is. And I've been in positions where,
It should be the most qualified candidate.
Right.
And whether that's woman, doesn't matter what you are, women, man, transgender, it doesn't matter as long as you are the most qualified candidate. But
Absolutely.
It seems to me the only way that can happen, especially in a professional environment for which you work in, is if we take the first page of your resume off and then assign a number or some kind of symbol or something, so that we can have true equality in the workplace.
That's true. I agree.
It's too many conclusions being drawn on perception and then declared truth.
Right, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's not about the label that people would like to put you under, whatever that label may be, male, female, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Right,
Yeah.
race, whatever.
Yeah.
It's about the quality of your work and what you bring to that team. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and
So-
that's really, we can take that back down. You can tell in French I'm talking with my hands all the time. We can take that even further out of the workplace and take that as an individual. We draw so many conclusions about people we don't know just based on what we see or the propaganda that we hear. And what we really should be doing is, the old not judge a book by its cover scenario. What in my personal opinion, what we should be doing is reading the first page before we even look at the cover. Open that book up, read the first page, get to know the end, get a feel for what that person's about before we turn the cover over and say, yeah, that's a good cover, bad cover, or indifferent.
Right.
What do you think?
I could really, Bob, be the poster child for that, because I really don't think people, especially in the workplace, know who or what I am just from looking at me alone.
And how could they? But we have to have a better system where people can take that and say, who is Dee Dee? Could you give me an instance specifically of a time where you were discriminated against and what you did to overcome that?
Absolutely. In the healthcare field, I work in management,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a position that I had been in for a while, and a better opportunity in the same company came along.
I remember you telling me about that.
Absolutely. I had a male boss who privately, congratulated me all the time on my work and frequently took credit for a lot of my work. And because of my role and because I was trying to move up in the company, I was the traditional woman. I was submissive. So I kind of still did the work, allowed him, stood behind him, allowed him to take credit for it. And when the opportunity for a better role came along, there was myself and another employee that they were looking at for this role, happened to be a male. And it's that, what we said earlier, the traditional boys club deal, especially here in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So I had not only more experience, I had the degree. He did not. The other candidate did not.
Yeah.
I had more seniority with the company. I had been there longer than he had. But at the end of the day, my boss was a male. He was a male. And, they had that camaraderie going on. So long story short, he got the role and I didn't.
Dee Dee, I can't thank you enough for taking this time and sharing these opportunities sharing this story with me. And I hope that we have many more conversations.
Me too.
Thank you, sweetheart.
for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's always great to see you. Thanks.
Yes.